Aujourd'hui, on parle de réseaux sociaux. On parle de réseaux sociaux d'une manière qui est assez différente parce que on parle pourquoi tes posts sur les réseaux sociaux n'attirent pas les gens que tu aimerais attirer. Pourquoi tes posts n'ont pas de traction et qu'est-ce qui fait qu'il pourrait ne pas y avoir de traction. Et c'est pas toujours ce qu'on pense. On peut avoir un beau marketing, un beau branding, des beaux mots, du beau storytelling. On peut avoir tout ça, mais il y a quelque chose d'autre en arrière qui fait que faut regarder pour avoir des posts qui fonctionnent. Et j'ai Mary Morgan de Toronto. C'est une entrevue en anglais qui vient nous parler de ça, justement. Écoute, ça fait proche de 12 ans qu'elle a eu une compagnie justement de design et de marketing dans les réseaux sociaux. Et aujourd'hui, elle travaille un petit peu plus au niveau de l'énergétique, je pourrais dire ça comme ça. Donc, il y a autant le côté cérébral, côté rationnel des posts et tout ça, que le côté un petit peu plus intangible qui est mis ensemble. Donc, Mary nous parle de ça dans l'entrevue que j'ai avec elle. Si tu m'écoutes sur le podcast et que tu comprends l'anglais, ça va être super. Mary explique extraordinairement bien. Mais si tu ne comprends pas l'anglais, je t'invite à aller sur YouTube si tu n'es pas déjà dessus pour regarder les captations là, avec la traduction. Alors, je suis certaine, si tu postes pour ta business sur les réseaux sociaux, que tu vas avoir beaucoup de valeur dans ce qui est partagé comme information dans mon entretien avec Mary Morgan. Bonne écoute. So, hi, welcome to my podcast and YouTube channel. So it's Succès Mode de Vie. So in English, it's Success Way of Life. And today is my first interview in English that I give. And my interview is with Mary Morgan. She's from Toronto. And she's an internet specialist that will help us today simplify our sales on the internet. And she has a lot to say because she had only $100 in her pocket, and now she's making more than 100K a month. So here is Mary Morgan. Hi, Mary.
Yes. Hello. And you see me like I just set up my iPhone. I've got the whole behind the scenes going. I'm excited to kick us off. So thank you so much to Louise and to your audience for opening up this space and having this conversation, especially doing this in English, because I know preferred language is French. So like opening up to a global scope and having more of a, world conversation. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and you have something special for us today because you want to help us have more sales on the internet, and you want to tell us like the pitfalls that we do when we post and that it doesn't convert. So yeah.
Yes. And, it was definitely an evolution, just like Louise, when you started this conversation. I went from $100 to my name just a couple short years ago to my first $100,000 cash month in 2022. And just seeing that evolution of like year by year, how my content evolved, how my brand evolved, how sales evolved. It was like each iteration was a new level in my identity and how I started to show up. And I know Louise goes in depth into some of these things and into falling in love with your life. And that was such a huge piece for me is when we go to create content online, often, what a lot of people say is I'm posting, I'm doing the thing, but I'm still not seeing results. I'm still not seeing the number. I'm still not, seeing the things that I want to be seeing right now. And when I see this, and this is very common as entrepreneurs and for us in a very instant gratification world where you have Uber Eats on your phone, you've got Uber, you can just get an Uber in minutes. Like you have all of these things where when we're not seeing something fast, we're like, something's not working. Something is off. Right. So one of the biggest pieces, and I'm sure you hear this too, Louise, like, why isn't it clicking?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear that too, and I live it too. Sometimes there are
Yes.
posts that works well, and others that doesn't. And the month late, the next month, it the one that didn't work well works well, and the opposite. So I'm wondering, there's something that we don't understand there. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a couple core pieces that come into it. So one is the actual identity, and I'm going to get into the strategy stuff in a second, but a part of it is identity. When I think about who I was when I did 165 sales calls, and that was the beginning of my story when I started in this space, hundreds of calls to hear no on every single call. And then finally, when I heard a yes, she called me back and said, within a couple hours, actually, no, I don't have the money. I can't afford it. So it broke my heart at this point. I felt like I put everything in. And this was the first starting of my identity shift. I invested in a mentor at that time. It was 6K. I put everything into this. I said, I'm going to be the best student. I'm going to show up. And here I am 6, 7 months later, hundreds of calls later, with less confidence than I have now, with less everything that I have, less money, less all of it. And then another $20,000 investment came up and I decided to move. Like, how many of us would say, I did this and it didn't work, and so I'll keep going, versus, well, this will hold me back. I allowed fear to move me. I didn't allow fear to paralyze me. And this was one of the first
This
big
is one
pieces.
key. This is a
Yes.
key. Yeah. Don't
Yes.
get paralyzed with your fear. Yeah.
There is a huge code in this, quite honestly, Louise, because even today, I spoke with my team this morning and we did one of the best master classes I've ever done called the Revival. 7 modules, 7 sessions, so good. And somehow, in the midst of our conversation, someone forgot to download it and someone deleted it. We were doing our like deletion, like all the videos are coming down, we're repackaging it. And the person who was supposed to upload them forgot to upload them. And I'm like, so you're telling me the best masterclass I've ever done is gone, nowhere to be found? And she
Oh
said,
my
yes. And I said, okay, I remember your 333. Breathe, breathe.
God. Okay,
And
this just happened.
yeah, this just happened today. So it's perfect for our conversation.
Oh,
So this just happened. And something really important is going to come through from this, and I'm excited to share. So I said, my old me, what she would have done is cried her eyes out, spent the whole days off, like unplug, avoid it. I can't deal with this right now. Honestly, I could have even thrown in the towel for a reason like that. Like, I spent 7+ hours live, plus the training, blah, blah, blah. No, I can't do this anymore. So today, when this happened, I first obviously had my human emotion, which was anger and frustration. How could this happen? But I thought this person and this person, I thought you guys got it. Like, that's what was coming through in the initial moment. And then I had to take my human and remember when I was in corporate or when I was working with people, and this would happen to me, and we're human and we make mistakes. How can we avoid this in the future? How can we future proof? So I looked at what are ways that maybe not in one sitting we download and delete, maybe day by day we download them so we know we have them. And then if we are deleting videos after, we know we have them because we've seen them. So this started to happen. And then I had a moment of, what is this here to show me? And this is really where the magic started to happen. Said, what if the revival was meant to be a masterclass that was experienced and felt and seen in the moment? And there's almost a remastery that's coming through from the revival. So I made
the name
yes.
is Revival.
Yes. Yes.
So
So of course,
revive from that.
yeah. So of course, so I go in the group and I said, hello, hey guys, this is what's happening. Because I had people who said, where is Revival? We want to purchase it. They knew it was going to be repackaged, all of this. And I said, well, it's gone now. But I said, here's what we're going to do. I have this calling to do a remastered revival. It's not going to be like the 1 hour live in Facebook group. It's not going to look like this. It might be like a Telegram group where I do an audio. The weather is getting so beautiful. I can sit out on the porch. I'm not on my desk like I was in revival. I'm out in nature like revival. I'm feeling, I'm being,
Oh, yes.
breathing.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And then I said, this is the revival remastered. And I said, if you want access, this is the early bird price. And I kid you not, Louise, like in minutes, I had boom, boom, boom. Send me the link. I want to buy. I want to buy. I want to buy. Get me in. And then it gets better. And then I went on a live session with a fellow mastermind client of mine. And, we're doing a little interview on Instagram. And someone says, I was in the revival. I downloaded some of the videos. I have them and I'll send them to you. And I said, okay, send them to me. But in the back of my mind, I felt like revival was still old news. Like, again, coming back to old me would have said comfort. Okay, here it is. Let's just sell this. Hi, guys, I found it. Here it is. Forget remastered. Here's what we're doing now that I found it. But new me is like, sure, we'll package it maybe up, but it's a season of remastering the revival. Like, that's what it's about. And I stood in my power. I stood firm with like, this is what we are doing. But months ago, years ago, I wouldn't have stood as firm as I do today. So that's like piece number one in our content is, are you in conviction? Are you in confidence? No matter what, whatever happens around us, it's like, yes, yes, yes. No one's commenting. Yes. Everything's deleted. Yes. Are you in that conviction?
Well, something similar happened to me. I had a Facebook group and I did 167 lives back to back. And the group just went off. And I couldn't access the group for 2 years. And now I have access to it. Like a month ago, I have access to the group, but I cannot invite nobody. Nobody else but me can go in that group. So I saw all the lives. And for me too, it's all news.
Yes.
It's like, I don't even want to download them. It's like,
Yes.
okay, been there, done that, better news now, better
And
things.
it's almost like this happens from God or the universe or whatever you want to, call it. For me, I say God, but it's almost like God puts these things for us to be like, no, Louise, this is for you only. And it's his way of saying, this is for you to look and for you to see your growth. I don't want anyone seeing this. This is for you. That was the way I felt about the revival. I was like, thank you. Send me the videos. Those are for me. If I decide to gift them with remastered, sure, I'll gift them. But there's a new energy around this. So it's like, will you hold that faith no matter what? That's the biggest piece in content and in anything.
Wow. Will you hold the faith in your, can you,
Yeah, will you hold the faith in who you are, in your identity, in what you desire when you create content? Or will you go, what is Louise posting? What is Mary posting? What's trending? Is there trending audios? Oh, let me see, let me try. It's like when we go and we do those things often, it'll dilute what we really want to say. It'll dilute our heart, it'll dilute our vision, and it puts us in our head. And of course, it's not working because it's not you. And we feel this.
exactly, exactly. And you know what I wanted to do with those lives? I wanted to listen to them so I could remaster the way I talk about it, but I don't even talk about that anymore. So I said, why bother listening to the whole 167 lives that I can do anyway? I did them, so I can redo something like that. Yeah.
Huge, huge, huge. So that was one of the biggest pieces that I learned is like, what do you want to do? Not what should I post? What do you want to post? What do you feel? What do you want to say to the world today is a very different feeling than what should I post to make money? It's like, yuck.
Okay. There's another question that comes often is, do I post things that are more personal or do I teach?
Okay, I'm going to get into this now, actually. Number 2. So this is perfect. Most people, when I look at your content, what I'll see is we're educating. Here's how to. Step 1, step 2, step 3. These are the steps to take. Now, often when we're educating, we're like friend zoning ourselves. It's like people are putting us in the friend zone because we're just educators. That's what we do. But if we're leaders, if we're experts, if we're, again, there's that power, there's that conviction, we're activators. And there's something magical about activators versus educators. Educators are like, thank you, Louise, amazing information. This is so good. And you'll hear this from your audience. This is so good. But why don't they buy? They tell me this is good all day and they don't buy. You're educating. When we activate, it's, oh my gosh, this is so good. Where have you been all my life? How do I work with you? That's the key difference. So those are the two. If I were to even put content into two pieces, it's like really two pieces. Your conviction, your confidence that bleeds through the screen. And then it's also what we're even saying. Like if we're just going, okay, Louise, here's how to, grow your Instagram, right? Step one, step two, versus if I lean in with something like, most people try and grow their Instagram because they want to generate more leads. But if you just generate more people, often they're not the right people. When I work with our clients, we show them how to generate and work with the right people. It's through your voice, it's through your authenticity, it's through these things. See how that's a bit more activating? Like it's not just saying, here's what to go and do. So this is the way that I think about it. You're not necessarily going, okay, go and do these things. Instead, it's like, here's how to think about this. Here's how. It's like you're making them aware of what's been happening. And it's this light bulb moment after light bulb moment that they begin to experience.
Exactly like you're doing now. You're not telling us, okay, your posts are bad for this reason, and that reason. No, you're telling us stuff to have more
Awareness
meaning and more awareness, to question ourselves, to what is really that we want to put outside of us, and where do we want to glow? Where do you glow? That's a question too, eh? Where do you glow? It's when you have the awareness and you put it the way you just said it. Like
yes,
for Instagram, instead of saying 1, 2, 3, you say, okay, yeah, if you want to have more customers, and you like a little story around it, but the education is still there.
It's still there.
The same way.
Exactly. So I'll give you another example because some people, especially if I'm using business references and they're in a different industry, struggle to like relate this. So one of my clients, she is actually from Quebec as well. She speaks French, she speaks English, she speaks Spanish. And one thing about her is she works with women and their thyroid. And one thing that she started to do in the beginning of her business, her first few launches, she would talk about like how to heal naturally. So she said, don't mix, let's say, bananas and strawberries together because you'll start to experience these symptoms. Don't mix this and this together, and this is what you'll experience. The mixture of the food is what's causing, inflammation in the body, etc. And then zero sales. She did it again. Zero sales. And then she comes to me and she's like, okay, how can we remaster, this again? And I said, well, let's look at like the conversation. And I noticed it was a lot of education. It's a lot of the stuff that we're talking about. So I said, what if you just show up and you say like, this is why when we mix certain foods together, let me tell you about intolerances that start to happen. With our clients, when they work with us, what we do is we do blood work, and she does this. We do blood work. We look at your food intolerances and we co-create meal plans based on your sensitivities, and we actually build that out together. And she told me this. She said, Mary, I feel like I'm not giving them anything. Like I'm telling them, here's what I do with my clients. They're going to feel like I'm like cheap or I'm scamming them on this thing that's supposed to be just value and value and value. And then she said, okay, I'm going to just do it. I'm going to trust you. Okay. She does it. That was her first 20K launch. Now she's gone on to have, consistent 60K plus months in the health space.
Wow.
And yes, incredible. And now when she looked back, she said, my clients and people who are in that training said that training was the most valuable training you've ever done. Like it's mind blowing, because if I sit here and I give you, here's what to do. Number one, often you're not going to do it. But number two, you're just listening and you're consuming. But if I make you aware of things, it actually feels like you're learning more, but you don't have a tangible thing to do. You might, but it's more the contemplation. It's more the thought. It's the activation. That's what's really feeding this person to be like, I need to work with them. Like this is what I've been missing, or this is what I've been looking for. I'm ready to take that step.
So you talk about the result. Like
Mhm.
she's talking about the result. Well, so if I take the example you just gave us, if I try the strawberry with the banana and it doesn't work for me, I say, oh, well, it's not that. But if she tells me for your DNA, for your blood, for your body, I can help you. Oh, oh, wow, she's got the key.
Yeah.
She's got the key. So it's the same thing for anything.
Yes.
Mm.
And it's so easy to do, but I think we've been so programmed to be like, show people the value. And we think the value is in our education, is in our coaching, is in all this, which of course it is. But sometimes our people don't even know that that's what they need yet. Like one of my clients, he works in hypnotherapy. And he said, I struggled for so long to understand, like, people don't actually feel like they need me until they do a session and they see the work that I do. He's like, how do I explain something that's transformational, but I can't explain it? You can only experience it. I can't explain it. So the biggest piece I shared with him was like, show it, like show the experience, allow people to come into this experience with you. Like another woman, she works with high performers, people who are, very in their masculine, corporate executives, entrepreneurs, etc. And she helps them lead in their femininity. And, as she started to speak, it got to a point where I was like, I could be an ideal client for you. Like, I'm a high performer. I identify with like desiring to have more of this like flow, femininity, creativity, like all of this in my life. But now I resonate. In the beginning, I didn't. Like seeing your content, seeing how you speak, I didn't get it. So often we say, why don't people buy? Why don't they see my value? Why don't they see all of this? And it's not about doing more of these things. It's just finessing it a little bit to the point where people just feel something, again coming back to that activation. So instead of saying, are you a high performer who feels or suffers from depression? Like that's who she was kind of like, you feel like you have it all but you're not feeling happy, whatever it is. It's like there's ways to even paint the picture, right? So instead of saying, if you're in a space where you help people who have anxiety and depression, but they're high performers, they might not put that on their title, on their headline of this is how I identify, but they are experiencing those symptoms. So it's painting this picture of like, if you feel like you're, it's Easter long weekend, you're going to go to your parents, and your mom is going to say something, and on the car ride back with your spouse, you're going to be arguing about what she said at the dinner table, and you're going to be frustrated. I have something I want to share. So it's like, see how it's like, it's identifying with the person
Vent in my car.
yeah, I know exactly. Like you and my car. What? So it's like we identify with these things because it's like it's the trauma, it's the stuff that we have, but we might not say, hi, I have trauma. Like I don't identify as trauma, but we have trauma, we have wounds, we have childhood wounds, we have things like this to heal. But especially in those niches where it's like, how do I explain it? It's like, show it. Like storytelling is really important. Put them in the shoes of like if this is you, this is the environment you're experiencing, like let's talk about it. And it's painting what to do in those places. So instead of, if you feel trauma, here are the next 5 steps to do, right? It's like very different.
Yeah, and sometimes we deny that we are in trauma. We deny
Yes.
that we are in depression. We deny the problem we have because we don't see it.
Yes.
Or we know it, but we don't want to acknowledge it because of our ego. No, I'm not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Ego is huge.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. And in the post, how do you put your ego aside? How can you be more
Oh my
transparent,
gosh.
authentic, and
I love this. Okay. So the way that I was explaining this actually this morning, I said, I feel like the way that we show up is, do you know those chocolates that are hard on the outside and on the inside, it's like gooey and soft? So it's like often we show up like this, where we're hard on the outside and we're very soft on the inside. And we show up hard. We don't let our emotions shine through. Like in the past, I would never cry on camera. I would never share a story that was too vulnerable. I would never speak a certain way. In corporate, I was always told to dress in blazers and pantsuits and, yeah, macho man coming in the room. And, I've even been told, like, lower your voice. You sound too like childlike and like girly, lower your voice, have a deeper voice, speak like this to be taken seriously, and basically lose yourself so that you look a certain way. And then that is power. So I had this is what power looks like. And often a lot of us will have this through our conditioning growing up, through things we see, where we're like, this is what power looks like. It's luxury. It's this, it's that. Okay, let me show up like this so that I appear strong and powerful and people want to work with me and whatever. So we put this hard shell on, but then when we crack, we feel all the emotions that have been so bottled up and tightened up getting released. So that was me in the beginning. It was like hard shell online, camera is off, I'm a hot mess, I'm crying, I'm freaking out because I'm releasing my emotions that I've held on to the whole day and I didn't want to show. So when I work with some of our clients who especially are very similar to that state of like masculine, showing up a certain way, etc., I've really shifted it to be like, what if you were the opposite? What if we were soft on the outside, vulnerable on the outside, feminine on the outside? We cry when we want to, we're doing the things, and we allow ourselves to be seen, and inside we're solid. It's like nothing can break us. We're strong. It's like rock solid on the inside. And that's what allows us to be vulnerable on the outside. If we're not rock solid on the inside, it's just a bunch of goo. It's just a hot mess again. But if we're rock solid on the inside and on the outside, we have our femininity, we have our beauty, we have all of the things that we, love and we share and we show up as, then that's how we're actually able to be authentic. So when we want to show up in our content as really authentic, it's making sure we're rock solid. So how do we do that, right? Coming back to what we said earlier, not looking at what everyone's posting so that I create content, not looking at, well, how much is she making? Well, I'm only here. Well, how come she's getting results? Why don't I have results? Like, that is not us being firm in who we are. It's us looking at other women and being like, yes, Louise, you're killing it. I'm so proud of you. This is amazing. I love you. You've got this. I've got this. We've got this. It's this together we rise, and this solidity that we all hold together versus this shakiness that we have. So having that rock solid foundation, everything that then becomes so fluid because you're so strong. The way that I see this is like, if you're in a relationship with your partner and you are rock solid in your relationship, there's a feeling when you're out and there's beautiful girls around, you're not like, oh, she's prettier than me. Oh my gosh, like, what if he looks at her a certain way? But if you're not rock solid in your relationship, you're going to keep looking around to be like, is he looking at other women? Should I fix my hair a little bit? Should I look a certain way? But when we're so rock solid, we're like, hun, look around, like, enjoy, because I know. We're like, I know, I've got this. It's like, I'm solid, you're solid, we're solid. So anything else will never break us. And it allows us to have fun. It allows us to be authentic from there.
I love the image you said, like rock solid inside and smooth on the outside. It's like when you know your values, when you know your worth, when you have self-confidence, it doesn't matter if you cry, if you tell your truth, and if you're vulnerable. So, yeah, so you know what you stand for.
Yeah.
Even with all the what can happen outside of you, you know what you stand for. So
yes, and I'll give you a good example of this too. Like the other day, I was on Instagram Live and my sound cut off completely. Again, coming back to who I was, I would have in the past, I would have freaked out, held it all together in the inside, and been like, "Do not panic, do not panic. It is okay, it is okay." And I would freak out on the inside, being like to me, it wasn't as simple as close the live, start over. Like it would have been a whole thing. And then I'm on this live and I was laughing my ass off. And I'm just like, can you guys hear me now? Are we good? And then I had a comment and I love this. And she said, I love your energy. There's something about you that's so magnetic. And she said that as I was in this moment of chaos and I'm just here having the time of my life. And it's like, imagine if there's chaos all around us and there are people who are like, scared and screaming and freaking out, and you see people who are like partying and together and zen and whatever. It's like, where are you going to go? Of course, to the people who you're like, yes, I want some of your vibe. I don't want to be around all this chaos. Like, who put some earplugs in and like, let's go do our thing. It's like we are magnetized to those that hold their power, but not from a place of like, I am strong and powerful, but from a place of like, I know who I am and I am so solid in who I am. And I truly believe that, you know, for us, because some people might be listening to this and they're like, well, I'm still figuring out who I am. I'm still figuring out doing some identity work and all of this. And I think it's not even just knowing who you are, it's trusting that you know who you are. Because sometimes there are moments that I feel like I'm going through an existential crisis and I'm like, oh my gosh, my brand, I'm up leveling this. And like, what is this? What is that? But it's trusting that no matter what, like I've got myself, I know deep down, it's just a remembering of who I really am. So I think that's a part of it too, of like, it's not just, I know who I am, like I've got this, but it's like, no matter what, as I'm going through up levels and I'm shifting my identity, I'm always who I am and I'm always solid.
And I know that I'm capable of doing it again. I know I'm capable of working it out. So
Yes.
yeah, because when you know who you are, it's not just knowing what you can no. When you know who you are is that you know that you can do it. Whatever comes, that you've got it, that you're gonna find a way, you're gonna find a solution, you're gonna find it out, you're gonna crush it anyway, one
Yes.
way or the other, but
No, exactly right. It's like you trust yourself no matter what. And it's also this like allowing to receive. Like I put a pressure on myself early on to be like, I know I need a mission and a vision and a movement, and I want to create these things. I want to have a strong brand, but I don't know what it is. And I tried to search and search and search, even like colors, like what colors do I want my brand to be and whatever. And it's like, what if you just trusted and allowed that when it's ready, it's going to come through and you'll have that clarity. And there was such a peace to that. And there was such a solidity to that, even though that's not solid because it's still unknown, but it's solid and trusting to continue. Just like we said in the beginning of this call, like allowing fear to move you or insecurity, whatever, to move you, not paralyze you.
I love the trusting part for the your branding, because lots of entrepreneurs get stuck in their branding and they don't move forward for their
Yeah.
business. So the branding will change eventually. Like big companies like Yves Saint Laurent, like Guess, like Gucci, like Chanel, they change their look, they
Yeah.
change their logo. So you can do that too
Mm-hmm.
eventually.
We can
So
do whatever we want as entrepreneurs, which is so exciting.
yeah, exactly. What's your best okay, not what's your best, but what is the biggest takeaway your customers say they have, like okay, you made me aware of this and this really changed like the whole thing for me. what
Yeah,
what
this
what
is
was
so good.
that?
So for me, the biggest thing I hear is, wow, it's all coming full circle. Like it's like all the puzzle pieces are fully landing now. So that's where I came up with my program called The Circle. So it's like everything coming full circle. It finally lands. And the way that I do this is going, like if I worked with other mentors, this is where I found my point of difference. Again, coming to branding, I didn't force it, I just found it. I noticed that I kept going to the depth. So let's say you said something and you're like, I keep having people reaching out to me, but they're not taking action. And then we look within and we realize patterns that have been going on for ages. So it's going through the depth and the deep work and then coming back and having a strategy that supports it. So I'm super strong with the strategic side, like that here's what to do, here's how to do it. But then I realized that there's a really important piece of making sure that it actually works with who you are and your evolution. So I would say if you're taking this and you're hearing this podcast, like what to actually take from this is really looking at, is this going to bring me closer to alignment or farther from alignment? Is this feeling good right now? Is this not feeling good right now? Like having that, it's like the intuition, the discernment, the masculine, the feminine. It's the two sides. We were saying this before we started recording. If you're listening on podcast audio only, Louise is in like all white and she's got like her gorgeous like blonde hair and the shirt. And I've got my dark hair and my dark outfit. And this is what it is. It's like you're going to the depth and you've got the surface stuff. You got the long term, you got the short term. It's having both pieces to work for you in this moment and for later. All of that coming together. And I've noticed the moments where I felt the most free, the most in flow is when I've made the most money. So it's tapping back into, and I've been the happiest, obviously, more importantly. So it's like, this is what's important, is like having two of these pieces together.
Wow. Thank you, Mary. Thank you to have shared all that, those nuggets. It's more than nuggets.
I know. I feel like we lived a lifetime on this call.
But what can I say that is a better word than nuggets? Nuggets, it's like small things. It's
yeah, the call is just dripping in gold, is what it is.
So yeah, exactly, yeah. Exactly. Because I find that people are really trying too hard to force some things, and when you start to let it flow through what exactly is the message you want to put out, the message you want to send out. Like if you're taking a coffee with a friend, I suppose the post should be like, you're not gonna take a coffee with your friend and you say, okay, you want to be better on Instagram, 1 2 3 4 5, all right, okay, so now you're gonna talk with your friend the way you just said to do our posts.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. It's like when I would talk to a friend, I would say, yeah, but Louise, listen, like, this is why it's not working. So I'm going to the depth. Like, I'm not going, yeah, Louise, just like you said, 1 2 3 4, get out of here, go do it. It's like, no, I actually care about you. Like, come closer. Like, let's actually look at why this isn't working. Like, that's where it's like, there's a connection and you even feel it. Like, just me saying that, I'm like, oh, it feels deep. It feels so good than to just say, okay, 1 2 3. Like, it feels just so surfacey to just do that. And it's not to say don't do those posts. You can still go 1 2 3, here's what to do. But it's having this mixture where most of your content, there's more connection and depth.
Super. Thank you, Mary. So we're going to put in the show notes everywhere we can reach you. And I know you're really active on Facebook and Instagram. So those are two places that we can surely get to you. And go and look at the show notes. So you're going to have diamonds.
Yes, golden diamonds.
Not even gold. You're not going to have diamonds. Yeah. If you follow this woman and maybe take her as your mentor. So
yes.
Thank you very much, Mary.
And thank you for having me on.
Bye. J'espère que tu as pris des notes parce que vraiment, ce qu'elle partage, c'est de la bombe. Alors, si jamais tu veux continuer avec Mary, c'est marymorgancoaching.com. Sinon, Mary Morgan sur Facebook, Instagram. Puis, à ce moment-là, ben, tu vas pouvoir connecter avec elle et les liens, de toute façon, sont dans les notes de l'épisode. Si tu veux aller plus loin avec elle, tout est là. Et la semaine prochaine, ce que je vais te partager, c'est quand elle m'a reçue en live dans son groupe Facebook. Donc, elle m'a permis de pouvoir partager ça avec vous autres parce que là-dedans aussi, je livre des pépites. Donc, si tu veux pas manquer la diffusion du prochain podcast ou du prochain vidéo sur YouTube, abonne-toi pour pouvoir la voir quand que je vais la mettre en ligne. Alors, je te souhaite une belle fin de journée. Je te souhaite beaucoup de succès avec tous les conseils que tu viens de prendre en note et que tu vas certainement super bien adapter pour ce que toi tu fais. Alors, belle fin de journée. À la prochaine. Bye.